Hey everyone, this is Wei, and thanks for joining me here once again. And for this video, I'm gonna be sketching Grimlock from the Transformers, and it's a really quick study of geometric shapes and how you can, just get down and dirty with a 4B pencil and a 2B pencil. Just start shading and bringing out the forms. So let's get started and see how this goes. Right, so here is the sketch of Grimlock, just regular 2B pencil, just kind of drawing out some of the shapes, and the Grimlock is really, there's so much detail that, I didn't draw everything, obviously. Alright, so I'm going to zoom into this eye area, so I'm going to start off with a 4B since it's quite a lot of shading, so I'm just going to getting some of the dark areas first. And also, I do like to start with the darker areas sometimes just to get you a little bit warmed up, right? So like here's dark, so I'm just gonna roughly mark those areas. So now obviously the this character has a lot of detail, and I'm not gonna do all that, but it would just give me enough where you can kind of fake a lot of small detail just by quick shadings. And just gonna shading some of these dark areas right here. So with this kind of drawing, it's very geometrical, right? Everything is kind of hard and just like different surfaces at different angles. So it's very it's a pretty good practice for doing geometric shapes. So like right here, this is a big panel right here. So this upper area right here is lighter, and then this is slightly darker. So I'm gonna sketch that in darker. And I'm actually gonna sketch over some of the highlight areas because I'm just gonna use a electric eraser to erase them out. Sketching some of this darker area. And the challenge of this is really, just identifying the paneling. Because it's a very complicated where the shape just kind of go in and out a lot. But again, just with some quick shading tricks and stuff, it actually look cool. You don't have to follow all of the little details that you see. Alright, so let's get back here. So let's focus on the eye a little bit. The eye is actually glowing, so I'm just gonna leave those area white. Okay. So you can see how just some quick marks, that gives me where the dark area are, and then I can start shading the rest. And I know it's might be a little bit hard to follow, but so this is another way of doing it. Just shading the dark areas first, and then just try to make sense of it later. Like, whatever dark areas you see, just make it real dark, and then you can start shading the rest and evening things out. Alright, so with this area, I'm gonna move on to a 2B pencil so I can get a little bit more lighter shade. So like here, this part's slightly lighter. I can go over even like some of the darker areas. That will help me smooth the areas a little bit more, even though it was drawn over with the 4B. So here I'm kind of cross-hatching, right? So I have one going this direction, and I'll come back and go on this direction. It's just to give it, you know, just to even things out. Now this part is actually pretty dark, so I'm gonna switch to a 4B again. Okay, I'll switch back to a 2B. So a lot of little details on this thing. It's a pretty cool character. I mean, Grimlock was pretty cool. One of my favorite characters from the Transformers. See, there's so many ways of shading, like, you know, right here, just I could go with a 2B and just make it all dark first, and now just go in and crosshatch like this, and that'll give me, you know, like as if this panel is going down, right? I'll switch to a 4B just to get a little bit more quicker shade on this. So now you're starting to see, you know, these paneling, right? Now you can see where it's kind of going. So this one's tucking in, and then this one's coming out. Right. So let's say, you know, this paneling right here. This is dark, and this is white, and then this is dark. Now let's say I want to bring back some of the whites on that one. I'll just use a kneaded eraser, and I can just kind of dab it in like that. And that'll give me, you know, the little white area back again. So I'm gonna sketch up to the top a little bit more. And again, this kind of shading, because it's so complicated, there's so many different planes of surface. It might be, you know, hard to see at the beginning, but as you keep going, you know, you start slowly defining more and more of the shape, right? Like right here, like you don't really know what's going on yet, and sometimes when I'm looking at it, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. But you know, you just start shading, and you notice, you know, more and more of the values, and as you keep shading, you know, you see the forms keep developing, right? Like here, now you see that this thing kind of bulges out a little bit more. Let's do a 4B, slightly darker. So, you know, that's kind of how you shade these kind of geometric shapes and objects. It's just kind of take it one step at a time, right? You know, like right here, I'm just shading it. I'm just blocking it with one color and one value, and I'll go in and start defining, you know, more of the shapes, like what is happening. So right here, it's got all these triangular shapes, which is really odd. Okay, let's get back to here. Now, you know, one way to bring things out is, like, if I make this edge dark, you know, all of a sudden this edge, right, this area looks like it's coming out, right? Because whenever there's a dark edge, you feel like it's receding. So right here, this is receding, right? This is going in, and this is actually over it. So that's how you create dimensionality to your drawings. It's just by visual tricks like that, and it's actually, you know, what we see in reality. So, and when I say a trick, is because if you exaggerate it, you know, it just feels like it's like if I make this area really dark, you know, all of a sudden this thing looks like it's coming out, and that's kind of what I mean by like a trick, because you're able to enhance that edge, you know, the shape, just by adjusting the values around it. Let's bring out some darker lines a little bit. And that's kind of how it is too, you know, when you start drawing, it's just things are a little bit fuzzy. And then as you keep going, you know, you start seeing more, and then you're able to sharpen up some of those edges. Alright, so let's see. So let's say if I make this thing dark like this, because it actually is a little bit darker, and then, you know, I lose some of the edges, right? Like I need to see the highlights. So right here I can bring it back with the electric eraser and just go in. Just kind of dab it, right? And that'll help me bring out some of the highlights back again. So brush that off, so you can see how you can bring back some of the highlights. Or I can use a kneaded eraser and just kind of go in with a sharp edge, you know, just make it really sharp and just kind of dab it in there. But if you need like a, you know, nice hard shape, you know, you got a nice hard highlight, you got to use the electric eraser. So let's keep going. It's darker. So I'm just gonna actually make up some of my own shapes as I go, just because it's just, like, even if I'm a little bit off on this, right, it's kind of hard to tell because the reference on this is so complicated. There's so many different little shapes going in and out. But as long as I can kind of make it look, you know, like a robot with geometric shapes, I think it would be a successful drawing. Alright, so here I'm speeding up the video because it's a lot of shading and it's kind of rather repetitive. But the process is that I'm just, you know, using the 4B and just kind of going right in there and just start, you know, putting down values and you know, using an eraser and cutting things up, you know, just to try to bring out some form. Because I'm not really following the reference as closely anymore because it's rather maddening because of the detail levels. So it's just a lot of quick shading, you know, down and dirty, just shade it in and you know, draw some lines here and there and see, you know, see where it goes, right? Like I'll just cut in shapes and then, you know, just start shading them and just bringing out geometry. That's really all I'm doing. And as long as you know, stay true to the original design, you know, that's pretty much good enough. So let me slow it back down and show you how I'm doing the finer details for this drawing. Alright, so after a lot of shading and a lot of messy work, I kind of advanced this quite a bit. And now in order to add detail and stuff, like, you know, what I'm doing here, even though, you know, a lot of things doesn't really make sense, but you can actually, you know, make little details here and there to really enhance the drawing as if, you know, there's actually more detail than there really is, right? So in order to get the little details, I've sharpened the my 4B up a little bit more, and that way, you know, you can just kind of go in and do some quick lines, you know, here and there, and they really, you know, define the shape a little bit more, and just a little bit more details, you know, like little lines like that, you know, really like it's showing cracks or whatever. It really helps to, you know, to bring out the detail level of the drawing. And you don't have to do this all the way around, you know, all you need is just some area. If you have it, you know, it will draw the eye to it, and people will look at it and wow, they'll be like, oh, okay, you know, this thing is pretty detailed, right? But overall it isn't, right? Because a lot of areas still kind of rough, which is okay. So as I'm doing this, let's say, some areas are too dark or whatever, I can just stab it with the eraser. I mean, you can see how messy it is, so I can just stab it like that, and then let's, add in some more definition here and there. Just to define the shape a little bit better. And at this point, I've kind of, deviated from the reference a little bit because it's just, it's a little bit too tedious to copy, and there's really no point. Might as well just do your own. I mean, it still, looks like Grimlock, from the movie, obviously. So that's the process, and you can see that I erase out probably a bit of the stuff, with the electronic eraser, just to give me a little bit more white to work on again. And like down here, this is obviously I made up a lot of stuff, and again, it's the same process. I'll just go in like a sharp pencil, and it's just drawing little details, hard lines or whatever. And if it gets too dark, I'll just dab it. That'll get rid of some of the, give me back some of the paper again. So, I mean, it depends, how much you want to push this. I can keep doing this, with a pencil and eraser and just keep adding detail. Or I can just kind of call it quit. So it really depends on, what you want to do and how much time you want to spend on it. And for this thing, it actually, took me a lot longer than what I've anticipated. So that's why I ended up doing it, a lot more sketchy, just because it's just, there's just way too much detail in this character. But I mean, it's a good sketching exercise. And alright, so here is my final drawing for this character, and you can see it's still pretty rough, but overall, I think I'm just gonna end it here because it's just way too many details to continue with. So it's a lot of fun doing this kind of stuff, with a dark pencil, and just kind of go right in there and get a little messy, and just use the eraser and start bringing out the paper and the forms. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.